Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. So, we got more devastating news for Democrats during this difficult time. They have 4 more years to go. Actually, hang on. 3 more. Since we're halfway through this year, we could technically say 3 more years. So, keep going, Democrats. You guys have 3 more years. It's going to be fine. But apparently, according to recent information, it's going to advance to 8 years. Democrats continue to squabble to find the right candidate as the big three, as I like to call Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg, and AOC are both losing to JD Vance by around over 2 points. This is bad because generally Republicans tend to lose polls, okay? And obviously, even when they're losing a poll, like this Kamala Harris poll from June 23rd to 26th, very good for Kamala Harris, not so much actually. 45 to 42% advantage, 45%, 42%, Kamala Harris having a 2-point edge over JD Vance. He still wins. JD Vance still wins because in order for Democrats to win, they have to get over 6% in the margin, okay? Because we take a look at 2020, and you could be like, what would this election be like if Joe Biden got like 50% and Donald Trump got 47%? Trump would be the president, okay? So if Joe Biden won by like 3 points, he would lose, okay? He won the popular point by 3 points. He would lose. That's a guaranteed Democrat loss. So Democrats at least have to overperform the margin by over 3 points. If they don't get over 3 points on the popular vote, they're done. Republicans don't have to win the popular vote. That's the fun thing with us. We're lucky. We have the advantage of this. We don't have to win the popular vote because we have the Electoral College. We really have to at least lose the popular vote. No more, less than at least 4, okay? No less than 4, because you see, if Donald Trump just got like 100 votes total in 2020, he probably would win Wisconsin, Georgia, and Arizona, which would conclude the said election for Donald Trump as the winner. But obviously, these polls delivered are pretty fatal because taking to the context that these polls have Republicans winning the popular vote, JD Vance is trouncing these candidates by the electoral vote. Okay, it looks close in popular vote because you look at 2024, everyone said, "Oh, this is such a big wave." Analysis of the results. I'd like to know the Electoral College result by percentage. Here we go. Donald Trump won 57% of the Electoral College vote. Okay, 57.99% against Kamala Harris, who got 42%. Okay, that's bad. But adding the popular vote into the context, you're like, okay, this is actually not that bad as I thought. Donald Trump won almost 2 points of the popular vote. He won over a point. And I mean, Kamala lost by a point. That doesn't matter, though. But a lot of people seem to evolve around polls and say it's a popular vote. Popular vote means nothing. The only thing about popular vote that means something is if Republicans win it. If Republicans win it, then it's sealed. The Electoral College is sealed because, first off, if Democrats don't win the Electoral College, they can't pull off an Electoral College victory. And if they lose the Electoral College, they're likely losing states like Nevada. They're likely losing Arizona. They're likely losing Georgia, Pennsylvania, if not all the swing states, and maybe a Minnesota or a Virginia or a New Jersey or a New Hampshire. A lightish blue state. Yeah, Democrats have to win the popular vote in order to win. Republicans don't have to stress that. Republicans just have to be close to the Democrats enough to squeeze in some swing states. And apparently, we're going to put that in theory into effect today as we look at 3 new polls that were taken very recently showing J.D. Vance, the alleged, the more predicted, the favorite to become the Republican nominee for 2028. You'll see he's even defeating Trump Jr. That's, if he's defeating Trump Jr. Actually, Trump Jr. Yeah, this poll just recently. I think Trump Jr. is not going to do so well. Actually, hang on, wait. No, this is technically Donald Trump. I'm guessing this incent just includes Trump Jr. I don't know why they add Donald Trump. I don't know if this is Donald Trump or Donald Trump Jr. But I would imagine Donald Trump Jr. would lose because he is not from the political field. His background is son of Donald Trump. Okay, that's his real background. Even though that he is really well known because of that. But yeah, you don't have a Kamala Harris poll this time. You have a brutal J.D. Vance poll, decimating, of course, Pete Buttigieg. You have a Trump poll decimating Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You have a brutal poll decimating also Gavin Newsom. So we're going to analyze each one, starting with Pete Buttigieg. Now, Pete Buttigieg is actually the best performing Democrat. Who would have imagined a silly mayor from an Indiana city up in the north of the state would become the next president? That's not going to happen. Because I don't just doubt that's going to happen. I mean, yes, he comes from a swing state. He could possibly pick it up. Let's actually see how this is going to turn out. Specifically in regards to, and we can actually determine this here, starting with, okay, so we are going to do, the poll is suggesting a 1-point margin for Republicans. So what would a 1-point margin look like? Well, it look kind of like 2024. But I'm actually going to go ahead and not use the Cook political swingometer and just go ahead and say, you know what, it's probably likely the changes would be Vance would, not Vance, Buttigieg would probably carry the state of Michigan. He would win the popular vote, being J.D. Vance would win the popular vote, so I don't think he would win Wisconsin. J.D. Vance would, no, Pete Buttigieg would win Wisconsin, even though in normal terms I would probably assume he would. But if J.D. Vance is winning the popular vote, I really doubt that Wisconsin's swinging the other way. But this is pretty much what a map is said to look like if Pete Buttigieg is running against J.D. Vance. Okay, you're likely going to get a map looking pretty similar to this, okay? But some people will say, well, what about New Hampshire? I think New Hampshire is gotten too left, to be honest. The state is less libertarian as it was back in 2016. In 2016, very libertarian. But by the fact that it voted for Kamala, it didn't vote for like a Virginia, but it was still pretty close, like 3 points. That pretty much, I just think there's too many people from Vermont coming in to New Hampshire for normal people reasons, low taxes, less government. I get it, but they're pretty liberal. But that is quite obvious. But yes, this is my prediction for a Vance Buttigieg race. You got Vance with 294 electoral votes, Buttigieg with 244 electoral votes. Only change happening here is Michigan going blue, which is pretty interesting. You also have a poll taken, got another race. This is going to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. So we'll go ahead and change the map. and just do Ocasio-Cortez. Okay, so this one's going to be interesting because a lot of people will say, oh, AOC will win the Puerto Rican vote, which would mean that she would win Pennsylvania. Well, the poll is not saying that she will win Pennsylvania. In fact, I think the poll is saying that she's going to lose it by like 5 points. Just because she's Puerto Rican, it doesn't mean that she's going to win Puerto Rican voters. Okay, let's be honest. Puerto Ricans are not as far left as AOC, okay? Maybe a lot of New Yorkers, Puerto Ricans, they kind of follow Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez like she's the Messiah or something. And just, those are the very far left ones. They're probably Marxist revolutionary Puerto Ricans. I'm talking about the average Puerto Rican neighbor, okay? The average Puerto Rican in Lehigh County in Pennsylvania, in Allentown, that's going to be kind of difficult because a lot of them don't like communism. I'm being quite honest. Sure, a lot of them are disillusioned because they're not from Cuba. Cubans are fully aware what they're voting for if they vote Democrat. Because Puerto Rico hasn't gone through communism, they're kind of like Western Europe. You know how Western Europe's going through their socialism, sort of what's going on right now. They're kind of disillusioned, but some, having Cuban friends and part of the Hispanic community in general, possibly also know history. I mean, let's be honest. Latin America is one of the most socialist areas in history. You have multiple regimes in Latin America, like the Allende regime in Chile. You also have the Perón regime in Argentina. You have the Ortega regime in Nicaragua. You have the Castro regime in Cuba. You have also the Chavez regime in Venezuela. I know my history. I'm sure the Hispanic community also knows their history. It affects them. So I think AOC's version of socialism is very similar to those syndicated cons that I just listed. And they're not going to be that, like, obviously the poll backs that up. So let's go ahead and use the swing-o-meter to kind of determine what this Emerson College poll is suggesting. This is a 3-point win for Vance, if I am mistaken. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yes, 3-point margin. So this is what it would look like. So, yeah, I gotta imagine it would go up to maybe 66 for the white non-college grad. That itself gets even at 0.3, and you already have the swing point. This is what I mean. You already have all the swing states, and Democrats have the popular vote. I'm just saying, Democrats act all cocky. We're going to win it. Harry Sisson goes and says, if Newsom runs against Vance, Newsom will sweep him out. I'm like, yeah, we're talking about the progressive lunatic in California. He might win the popular vote, but he's still not winning the electoral college. Are you kidding me? He's losing every swing state. But this is AOC here, so we can't get sidetracked. I would imagine that the college vote would be somewhat increased, maybe a little bit better compared to maybe 56%, just because you get all the Kamala Brat girls coming out. You got the socialist white liberals coming out, but it's still relatively close. African Americans, let's go ahead. Actually, Hispanic vote is going to be pretty close. I would imagine it would be a somewhat of a. We'll go ahead and see. 52, 40. I would say it's somewhat close to that. 45% for Vance. I would say it's going to be like. I think it's going to be super, super, super tight. Like 50%, 48%. Yeah, by this point, Republicans would win. Yeah, Republicans have clinched the popular vote. You also have the Asian vote. It's probably because you also have a lot of Asians that come from communist China. But I still think Asians would still be Democratic. African Americans, for sure, they're not voting 90% for Kamala. vote for AOC. And I can guarantee you, the black men, if they're back ditching Kamala Harris, they're not going to vote for AOC. So I would imagine somewhat lower 80s, 81, 82 percent. Yeah, and that's still, you got also New Mexico. New Mexico's ditching AOC. That's hilarious. 5 points in Pennsylvania. Yeah, she's not winning Puerto Rican voters. Are you kidding me? 14 voters, 14% margin in New York. This is a brutal poll for AOC. People that think AOC is so great, yeah, keep talking. Keep talking. We need AOC to be the Democrat nominee so Vance can win easily. We need an advancement. Advancement. Yeah, if you can hear my language. Turnout would be relatively similar to 2020. I mean, turnout was pretty good in 2020. But, does increasing this, well, actually, yeah, let's go ahead and have Hispanic vote ditch and disown AOC. See how, because that's probably what's happening. African American can go down to 80, even though I'm a little less confident of that. So you get a result very similar to this. And as for New Hampshire, I don't think New Hampshire is going to sit for AOC so well. Maine will probably sit for AOC. But, yeah, we'll go ahead and have her keep Maine. What about New Jersey? New Jersey, it's kind of lopsided, up in the air. You do have it being like 7%. I do think maybe it's going to be more Democratic. Overall, it's New York and Newark and all these blue areas. She will kind of be carried over due to those states. But yeah, Michigan's gone. Pennsylvania's gone for sure. But Vance wins in Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois. Illinois goes to Kamala. No, not Kamala, AOC. 8 points, which is horrible for her. AOC. Minnesota, 1%. I do think the socialists in Minneapolis and St. Paul will keep her afloat in Minnesota. Nebraska. Yeah, Nebraska, too, is actually hanging on to AOC. And then again, it's Omaha. They do have some leftists over there. So I do think she'll probably win there. Kansas used to be a very left-wing state back in the 1800s. Not anymore. Texas, then you have a victory for Vance. New Mexico, Colorado, 6 points. Actually, no, New Mexico's Republican. You also got Arizona. Arizona is 8 points. California, which is 15 points, a solid win for her there at least. 7.4% in Nevada. And, of course, you got Hawaii and Alaska. So, Vance wins. This is pretty much the best case scenario for JD. 321 votes to Ocasio-Cortez's 217. So, yeah, this is devastating. If the far left wants to run the Queen AOC, then let them run her. Let them run her. Because the poll is absolutely devastating. These polls tend to favor Democrats, and they can't be, they're like straight out giving JD a sliding win of 321, the biggest win of the century so far for Republicans if this were to happen. So do it, Democrats. We're all for it. Bring AOC, like you guys nominated Mandami. We want to see, we want you guys to nominate these people. A lot of people are like, oh, you're coping that Madani was nominated. Well, I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Really? Like, Madani is going to give Republicans the biggest gift on the planet. I am looking forward to him being mayor. Let's cheer for him together. I'm like, if Democrats want to play this game, okay. We'll just eat popcorn and watch you guys implode. But we got our last pick, and that is specifically Gavin Newsom, which suggests 42. This is pretty much a 2-point win, if I am not mistaken. But, well, actually, hang on. I'm looking at the oversights poll. 42, 43, 44, 45. So this is like same point, same percentage, like, performance. It could look like a lot like AOC's defeat to Vance. But let's see what a Gavin Newsom versus Vance looks like. Okay, so first off, we'll start off with... So this is a margin of 3, which is obviously pretty brutal. The white non-college grad would probably be, I would say, a bit lower compared to like what AOC's margin is, but something like that. You also got the college grad. I think it's going to be more closer. 90%, maybe 84% this time for African-American voter. Hispanic vote's probably going to go to Mr. Hang on. Yeah, Republicans are already winning. All right, yeah, it's probably good. Hispanic vote's already going to probably go to Newsom. And the Asian vote. So you get a very similar state. But I think it looks like this. 50, 47. It looks very similar, but there's one difference. I do think that the poll is correct that New Hampshire would probably back Newsom. What? He's an authoritarian tyrant. Well, then again, Newsom is correct with his language. He's a slick politician. And not to mention, I've already explained at the beginning of the video, not close to the beginning, but a lot of Vermonters are moving into New Hampshire. It's making it into Democrat territory. So keep that in mind. There are probably more registered Democrats on paper than there are registered Republicans. So I would go ahead and run with New Hampshire going for Newsom. But yeah, Nebraska too. This time going for Republicans, actually. Well, yeah, you got also New Mexico going Republican. All right. But yeah, this is a devastating result. 218 to 220. Yeah, this isn't good. Democrats have nothing to celebrate. They are not doing anything. You also got Minnesota. It's actually more closer. Understandably, because the far left isn't fueling the momentum in the Twin Cities. But anyway, what do you guys think in regards to this interesting video after putting these polls into context? Let me know down below, and as always, I will see you all in the next political episode.